It is the end of August 2025, and finally the Women Matters are coming together again, still in some reduced amount of women, but I'm glad to see Lorraine again, and also Christine, who ultimately we didn't see too often because of your job, and Monia, like always, I'm so glad. She started everything about 20 years ago, I guess, no? It was
Oh,
the integral women field.
I didn't know.
Yeah. So we continue our work in English. You have to forgive me, my English is getting worse and worse because I have no exercise, daily exercise anymore, because Mark is not here for 7 years. And yeah, I try my best. We thought to talk about transition times in life, but first, as always, we do the check-in, and I give over to Monia.
All right, hello. From Vienna in Austria, we have beautiful autumn weather. Very nice to visit this city, and it's flooded by tourists. So of course, I'm living close to Schönbrunn Castle, and they're just milling down the street. Oh, it's beautiful. When you live in a place where others just visit, it's nice. Yeah, so far we had a pleasant summer. It was not too hot. We had a couple of hot days, but not really miserable ones, and we had nice nights. So we can't complain about the climate change. And yeah, uh, I have nothing on my mind, so I pass on to Christine.
Well, good morning. I'm from Carlsbad, California. I'm Christine, and I'm able to attend this morning because I didn't have a 9 o'clock appointment. And today's my one day in the office. I will be here until 7 o'clock tonight, which is 10 hours from now.
Oh, wow.
It's Monday is a very long day now because of I've condensed everybody in the office to one day in person. And yeah, I mean things are good. Have had a nice summer. Lorraine and I went dancing Friday night. That was a highlight. Um, what else? Tom has retired. He retired at the end of July, and he is calling it his permanent vacation. He's not using the word retirement. He's just saying I'm on permanent vacation. And for some reason that lifts his spirits. And
Yeah.
he's very busy setting up Icon 2026. And what else? I'm reading. What am I reading? Wow, I just blanked. I read, I don't know if this group would be interested in this. It's called I Am Part of Infinity.
Hmm.
I am, I am a part of infinity. And it's by Kieran Fox. He's a scientist and physician and Buddhist, or at least a meditator. I don't know if he's Buddhist. And he wrote about Einstein and Einstein's beliefs about uh, cosmology and how really kind of going with the Eastern philosophy of unity and how we are all one. And he does an excellent job just explaining Einstein's viewpoint. It's been an inspiring book. I've really enjoyed it. And one of my big takeaways, then I don't know, this seems rather simple, but it was a novel takeaway for me, was that Western religions, Judaism, Christianity, and Islam, think of God as a personal God. We all have a relationship with this personal entity. Um, and Eastern religions tend to emphasize more that God is about unity. It's about the harmony and the order and the beauty and the oneness, right? The richness of the oneness. And that's how Einstein saw it, was everything was orderly and in harmony, and mathematics could help reveal the ultimate nature of things, the ultimate nature, which would be then the divine and God. So anyway, if you're interested in Einstein and his cosmic religion, that's a good book. And that's a long check-in, so sorry I rambled on, but otherwise everything's good, and I will pass on to Lorraine.
Yeah, well, so many things are getting firing. To get back to the transition thing, I've been noticing what life is like without having a schedule of patients. And, as you know, I mean, as psychologists, we tend to see people one at a time. So you'll have a block of hours where you're seeing this person, this person, this person, this person. And at the end of the day, I guess I wasn't realizing when I was working how these people were part of my life for sure. They sort of filled a need for me to connect. And the connections are deeper than the usual connections. But after I stopped doing that completely, and they no longer lived in my head, I found almost for the first time that I craved being with other people. And it's sort of you can't hear? Let me see.
No, I hear you well.
Now
Oh, okay.
I hear you again, but you're fading, sort of.
Oh, really? It's probably this computer. I need to replace
no,
it.
I heard you perfectly. That might be.
Oh, did you? Oh, okay. So, there's, as I don't know if you guys have experienced this, but with retirement, when it's official and there are no more people you're sort of looking out for or taking care of or whatever, there was like a huge vacuum in my life. And part of me was anxious to fill up that vacuum. It was like, it just, my whole life felt, I don't know, unsatisfying. And there was an emptiness there. And I was getting anxious about that. And then I started meditating again. And I don't know if it was the meditation or just allowing this process to unfold, but I'm realizing that shaping my retirement future is going to depend on my being patient with myself and letting it kind of unfold. My life before was like planning, planning, planning. I always had a project and I hadn't even realized I was doing that to the extent that I was. So letting go of a plan is a new experience for me. And there are moments where it gets a little shaky. So it's been interesting watching my process and learning to trust that, because that is very tricky. But also, I'm socializing more, and it's really fun. I mean, I feel like I'm having fun. So, it's an interesting transition for me. And part of it is learning to tolerate the anxiety that crops up, not knowing about the future. Heidi, you were saying before you have a trust that things will work out. I don't have that.
Shall we first continue? You have already dived completely into the topic. Somewhere Victoria around. Can you do a short check-in and then we go back to the topic?
Yeah. Hi, everybody. Sorry I was off camera. I was actually swimming and lost track of the time. So I did come on right away, so I've heard everything, but I wasn't dressed yet. I was in a towel. So yeah, I'm so glad to be back and see all of you. And I got in very, very, very late last night from Portland. Beatrice sends her regards. I flew up there for she was asked to stage man. She works during the season. She works for the opera, for the ballet. But in the summer, the ballet doesn't perform, and so she was asked to be stage manager for a contemporary opera, which was based on the life of Jacqueline du Pré, the great British cellist who died of multiple sclerosis. So
Oh.
the really interesting. She just insisted that I see it, and actually her best friend who's from San Diego too. So he flew up because he's a cellist and he has some physical health issues. So that was it was a very powerful weekend. I won't share any more right now because I can hear the impetus of the topic. I'm trying to I'm a little distracted because I'm trying to get rid of myself. All I can see is myself. Which is very disturbing since I just got out of the pool. Okay, here we go. I was on speaker, I guess. So yeah, I won't check in anymore about it because it would take hours. I basically spent 3 days in tears. It was very intense. And not about the opera. I was hoping to have the opera be a cathartic experience and cry for 3 days about Jacqueline du Pré, but it didn't turn out that way. So I'll leave it at that right now. And yeah, the transitions, well, that is actually very relevant for me. So I'm going to pass it to you, Heidi, because I don't think you checked in yet, as usual.
I didn't. Yeah, I'm fine. I'm very excited and learning and learning and learning about the gene keys and about human design. And I discovered talking with ChatGPT is so important. I learn like it is turbo learning. It's crazy what I learned in the last few, let's say, weeks since I came back from Germany. I was 3 weeks in Germany. It was very rich, also very tiring. I did 4,000 kilometers in that time. I finally have a newish car so that I could do the journey. And yeah, I'm really fine. And as for the transition, I think I am in really big transition at least since Easter. And maybe we come to this later. I want to give you the opportunity to talk a little bit about your transitions, and then we can go into more detail. Victoria, you said your transition is because you wanted to catharsis because you cried 3 days. So is this the transition indicator?
I hope not. No, I hope. Yeah, I mean, I'm a little reluctant to bring it up in this context, actually, because
Okay.
especially because of Monia.
It's okay. It's okay.
No, I'm so glad to see you guys. No, it was very, very pronounced, this trip. It's the transition of the motherhood thing and having an adult child and seeing I just to the marrow of my bones feel like something is very, very, very wrong. And so I cried for 3 days because I'm so concerned. And but I have, it's instinct. So what do you do with your instinct? I mean, it's just a difficult difficult thing. So I'm just hoping and praying that I'm wrong and that Beatrice is totally on the right path for her and that she's happy. I said to her, I said, as long as you're happy and safe, I'm happy. So I don't know. Anyway, it's a big topic, but the transition is very clear that and you all know me so well by now, and you know the whole sort of entanglement because she is all I have left, and whether for better or for worse, she's the you know she's my focus just insofar as I don't have any other heirs if I pass away. I you know, she's all that's left of my family, not literally in terms of life and death, but in terms of relationship. And so, so I just, you know, hope and pray that she's happy and has a good life, and that, you know, I'll do what I can to do whatever I can, you know, however I can be of service. But it's just, it's a hard thing, you know, when your gut's telling you something and you don't know what to do with it. Like, where do you put that? Of course, we have psychologists here, and I have my whole team here in San Diego. So, yeah, it's complicated.
Okay. Monia, for you, transition.
I'm still back at personal God and unity, because I'm just now rereading Dawkins' The God Delusion. And I just love it. He's so pragmatic about everything, and somehow for me, I mean, I know Victoria has a rather different view, but for me it would be easy to live without a God. I wouldn't mind about the unity part from Eastern religions, but that's probably my Buddhist training. I wouldn't say that I'm transitioning between God and no God, but yeah, it's I think that the world as such as it is, it's so fantastic and so yeah, eternal, with all the changes happening every moment and every second. I wonder why human beings had to make up a personal God with their own, back in Greece and then the Romans, with their own faults and ambitions. It's not necessary to have a God like that. Anyway, I have been living without a transition for the last couple of years. We are reducing everything, my husband and I, and his health isn't improving, but he is managing. So, and we enjoy our permanent vacation, sort of. We have been enjoying it now for 25 years almost, so that's a long time. And we're still not bored. And of course, the grandchildren are continuity, and it's amazing how they grew up and how they choose their jobs and how successful they are. So it's really a great pleasure to be a grandmother. Yeah. So that's about all I can say about transition. Maybe something else will come up. So I pass on to whoever would like to speak.
I think Christine is still.
Well, you know, piggybacking, I guess, off of what Lorraine said, you know, I'm anticipating what is it going to be like when I wake up and nobody's telling me I have to do anything in particular. And it does seem like a void at this point. But what I'm finding is the days that I am not working, which are more, I'm only going to work 3 days a week and I have 4 off. Actually, sometimes 5 off, depends. But those days I really don't feel that much of a void or a loss. I think it is more the emotional connection, as Lorraine referred to. It's feeling very emotionally connected to these people. It's not like I feel I need to fill my time with work as much as I'm going to wonder, you know, what's going on with these people's lives. You know, what's the latest chapter in their story? Because for most of them, I've known them for maybe a decade, a long time. So it will feel like I won't know what else is happening with them. But I'm pretty confident I will feel okay about what I'm doing. I don't want to make any big plans to begin with, kind of like Lorraine, just let it be for a while and maybe see what emerges. Focus more on having fun, doing fun things, going places, seeing stuff. Tom and I are kind of on different wavelengths, so that's going to be tricky because I'm a person who likes to be on the go. I like to have experiences and see people and go places. And he's more of a homebody, so he doesn't quite understand my need to be active and doing. So he's often not particularly happy if I'm going out yet again, as in his mind. So I try to limit that to a reasonable amount, but that's going to be tricky. I keep encouraging him to do more with me because he's always invited. It's not like I have to do it by myself, but a lot of times I do end up doing stuff by myself or with a girlfriend like Lorraine or something, going out. We met up with Victoria and my husband didn't come. So it's that kind of thing that, makes me anticipate a little bit what's that going to be like. But I am pretty sure I don't want to curtail myself too much, I don't want to not do things just because he's not necessarily interested in coming along. So I think I am giving up the delusion that I'm ever going to get dancing lessons with him, though. I don't think that's gonna happen. That's the one thing I'm willing to concede, I guess, at this point. So, no, it's a mixed transition for sure.
I would like to add for this topic as permanent vacation. I never had the feeling of permanent vacation. Although, I had sporadic appointments, and for a while I went almost every day to teach and so, but that's a long time ago. And as for the craving for connections, yes, I have it. And, as I live here, nobody around. And that's why I have you and other groups, because otherwise I wouldn't know how to survive without any connection. Any is not true, but I have connections here around, but this is not nourishing me. While our conversations and the others which I have with the German speaking groups, that is nourishing me, and I need that. Otherwise, I wouldn't know how I would end up. And then I wanted to say I had a friend here. He comes for 28 years playing the tuba, and now he starts to enter into permanent vacation as a teacher. And I saw him changed already. He was sort of almost, oh, how will it be now I'm coming home? I don't have to go anymore to school, but still they have invited me for the next celebration. And how would that be? Then, I don't walk 1,000 steps up and down and then all these things. And I saw him sort of not as active as normally, but reduced. Only the idea that although the school year hasn't started yet, so that he wouldn't even be able to go back to school at this moment. So he already was in anticipation of how will that be. Although he has his music, his orchestra, and playing everywhere and then, but the structure, what you also mentioned, no? The structure needing to get up every day, go to school, do this and that. I don't, but people who were used to this normal day, they have to find their own structure, no? I have it because I go to my vegetable garden, give water, give food to the animals. This is my sort of structure, and the appointments I have on Zoom. But yeah. So Lorraine, back to you.
Can I ask a question, Heidi? Do you have anybody living there right now?
No, at
No.
the moment I'm
Okay.
alone again for 2 days. He went away 2 days ago.
Okay.
You know, along those lines, one of the things I've come to realize is how much of my life was spent figuring out what the rules were and then trying to figure out how to follow them. There are times, and I'm realizing more now, there are times there are rules about certain things. I mean, sometimes it's the techie stuff that I can't figure out, but when I was working, you know, in part it was dealing with insurance companies, somehow my brain is different. I don't have what my ex mother-in-law used to say is common sense. I really don't. My mind conceptualizes things differently. So I have to work really hard to figure out, okay, what do they mean? What do they want from me? And I realize I've carried a lot of anxiety about that. I may have had a learning disability of some kind that I never realized, but I worked overtime to figure out what the rules were so I could get done the things I wanted to get done. And now it's starting to be very freeing, not worrying about stuff like that. But I'm seeing that's all part of this transition too. So it's an interesting process. Can I live without a set of rules? I mean, can I trust my own insides about it's okay to do this? So there's, you know, and that almost relates, oddly enough, Monia, to the concept of God I used to have. I grew up in Catholicism, and a lot of it was very beautiful, even mystical. But as I grew older, I had more and more crises of faith, as they labeled them in Catholicism. And I used to puzzle, but didn't God give me this brain to ask the questions? Why is it a crisis? I mean, so there was so much confusion, and the whole concept of God I've struggled with for decades, you know, and I started reading books like When God Was a Woman. And I happen to come from a culture that Malta has 30 or more ancient ruins of temples to the goddess. You know, so there was, before the patriarchal Abrahamic God, there were divinities that were conceptualized in different ways. So, you know, and spirituality is part of my transition, you know. So what happens to that need to connect to something larger than myself? So it's just part of the theme. So I empathize with your with your journey, Monia. It's part of the whole transition thing. Anyway, I have no conclusion, so I'm just out there with, you know, sentences that run on. Sorry about that.
Nothing to be sorry about. I think it's very important, this topic. What do we do with our internal or external God? And it seems to be that we need a sort of belief in a higher reality where we can be part of. It seems to be, I mean, you probably know it better than psychologists. If you don't have anything to adhere to get oriented with, then you are sort of lost in life, you know. When it's all only the material thing, then you get crazy. I wonder if you want to talk about that also, about the need of God, let's say. You can call it different. I would call it universe or something. I wouldn't call it God, you know, and I certainly don't believe in somebody on a cloud with a long beard, but I do believe that there is a power of, how can I say, which is greater than myself. And now with the experience with the gene keys and the human design, what I get out of that, I think, wow, exactly. If I had known that before, I would have not to have struggled so much with why I am as I am, because it's just preset the way I am, and after a long life, you see, okay, that's exactly, that's how it is. And you could see that only from your birth date and from the place and the hour of your birth. And then I think, oh, okay. And I believe ever more that there is some sacred order in life, in the world, and in the, maybe not only the world, in the universe, as I said. And I'm getting ever more soft in the sense that I think, okay, that's my place here, that's my task. And mostly of it I did with a lot of, fatigue, but I did that. And I have a period now in which I'm really fine, really sort of happy. And allegro, what is it in English? Victoria, what allegro?
Content?
Huh?
Oh, sorry.
You also said with much fatigue, so I smiled because that's con molta fatica, which doesn't mean fatigue, it means effort.
Now
Yeah.
I'm
And allegro actually means happy, but it's in music. In music, they used it to like include like lively, energetic.
Yes, that's what I feel now. And the more I know, I get to know also about my shadows, which are connected. You can never avoid the shadows. The more I'm getting happy. It's so strange. So far to my transition time, sometimes I really am into crying about being touched about these things, which I get to know. So good, life is good.
Heidi, you mentioned since April. I was wondering what the time frame means to you, or what does that signify to you?
Because there were people here in the house for possible co-habitants and co-owners and so on. And it was very challenging. And then the dog died and my car broke. And so I was in a mood of overwhelm, complete overwhelm. And I had a closer connection with one of these guys. And really, it felt like a relationship. And as soon as he was away, it was all gone. And I tried to figure out what was happening. And so I dived further into what was going on. And then I discovered the gene keys and worked on that. And yeah, and then one thing comes after the other. I met another person only with writing, but that gave me the kick to go deeper and deeper and deeper. And I don't know, it seems like divine guidance, in some way to me. And it's very new for me to be able to say that so lightly, so happily, because before I always doubted, is this normal, or yeah, you are not worthy enough to be, and the whole thing, you know. And now I think, oh, good, that's it. Let's see what is coming. So I'm not really preoccupied at the moment what will come out of here. Maybe I go away, maybe I stay, maybe people come, maybe blah, 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 blah. We will see. So I'm at the moment good with uncertainty, let's say in this way. And this is my transition at the moment. It might change. That's another transition. We will see.
As I used to say in German, es passt. It will fit.
It's past.
Yeah, it will fit. And about maybe it's other words, your higher self that guides you. So maybe your higher self protects you and guides you. And yeah, this is one of the ideas I had.
I do think that the higher self is only another word for God. So,
no, as far as you are God, of course, but
but the higher self is not really you. It's not depending only on you. That's much
no, but it's my personal higher self.
Okay. I have a little wider one.
Okay, okay.
Okay, so far to my story. I could also talk for 2 hours or 3 hours now, but I don't want to. I give you the occasion.
So I guess one of the themes I'm hearing is tolerating uncertainty, being okay with not knowing. And like Lorraine, I've always been a person who wanted to know. I want to know. What is the answer? What are the rules? I'm an Enneagram 1, so it's best to know what the heck's going on. If you're going to be a reformer, you got to know what the ground rules are. So, yeah, the tolerating that uncertainty is certainly a challenge for sure.
I think this is also the possibility we have in older age to let go of all these imprintings. I was like you, I want to know, even now I want to know, but I don't want to know anymore like, the knowing becomes more important, but not defining you, let's say in this way.
Well, as you were saying that, I was wondering if the knowing is still looking for ways to connect. Not so much knowing rules or knowledge at this point, but knowing how we feel connected to other people, what it means to be connected
Mhm.
to the greater to the greater cosmos or beyond. Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, Christine and I went to the Integral Conference in Hungary, as you know. And one of the things they had there was something called a weirdoscope. So
What?
apparently, I know. This was a device, I think that Christine helped me on the details on this. It was a device based on some experiments that went on at Princeton, I believe. And it had something to do with not exactly paranormal, but they were measuring, and I can't even say whether it was energy or what, but they measure the almost the connectivity of people in a room during something that's going on. And they did these two, I think they were scientists, British, or one was British, who did this measurement throughout the entire conference. And at the end of it, they were able to tell us which presentations seemed to generate the most connectivity stuff. So I had a brief conversation with one of the scientists before they stated their conclusions. And I said, but what are you actually measuring? And he just looked at me and said, I don't know. It's an entanglement thing. I don't know if you're familiar with quantum entanglement from quantum physics, which is a fascinating concept. And if you can't do calculus, I don't think you could ever really understand this thing. But there is a way in which, like, I think the theory is two particles leave a particular place and go in different directions. This particle has a certain action. This one mirrors it. I mean, the other one mirrors it, even though they're separated. And there's no real communication between the two. So, this weird concept is giving rise to very imaginative ways of thinking, I think, and sort of gives a little bit of a sciencey thing, although it sounds like magic, but a sciencey underpinning to this whole notion of connection, that it could be really physical, physiological, or whatever. And it's utterly, but when the scientist said to me, I don't know what we're measuring, it's an entanglement thing. So now I'm using that phrase for a lot of things. I don't know. It's an entanglement thing. There's a connection there that we can't yet define that is kind of thrilling. I don't know where it goes. Who knows? I don't know. I wish I spoke calculus I wish I could read more physics. Like Christine, I'm going to find that book you're talking about, about Einstein. It's fascinating, the direction we're all going. And
I,
God is in the mix somewhere, and the goddess and whatever, the higher self, the energies. I don't know. It's amazing.
to me comes to mind telepathy, which is a fact that it exists. And what is underlying this, for me, this is the fields. We are in energetic fields, and we can feel each other from now. We are helped, because we see each other. But if you are getting sensitive, more sensitive, and the clairvoyance, they can do that, they enter into the field, for instance, of someone, and then they can see and receive information. And I ever more believe that this is really possible. And I think what you are saying, that physics is sort of catching up to the intuition, which many people have
Yes.
for a long time, that these things are real. So let's see what comes out of it. I do believe that it is real. Sometimes, yeah, I think, oh, can that really be? But, in the basics, I do believe that we are influencing each other also on a distance. You have to connect with the field. If you're outside the field yourself, if you don't connect, then nothing happens, But if you connect, either consciously or unconsciously, into a field, then you will feel what is going on. You won't know it, and you won't get words probably out of it, but your sensitivity will feel it. And the more you develop it, the more you will feel. And that's what I'm doing now. I try to develop that, to be more able to feel what is going on instead of thinking all the time.
Yeah.
Maybe the word sensing would be
Yeah. Sensing.
something in between feeling and
Yeah.
and what was the name of the instrument? Weirdoscope?
Yes, WYRD.
Yeah,
And
yeah, I
I
wrote
think
it down, but it's
Yeah.
how
I know.
how
I-
on earth
It's
did they find,
ridiculous.
how on earth did the organizers of the interconference find those people? I mean, it's
That I don't know. That would be, oh God, Hannah? Was it Hannah, Christine, that she found most of the speakers, right? I think it was Hannah that put all that together. Do you guys know Hannah?
Yeah.
I forget her last name, but yeah, she's a force of nature.
Mhm.
She's, but she got the speakers, so she'd be the one to contact
Mhm.
about how she found out. That
Do
would
you
be
have,
an
do you have
interesting.
an email address of her?
I have
I do.
sent it to you.
Heidi, can you please send it to me, because I haven't spoke to her in a long time,
Yeah,
but we had a great connection before. Yeah.
Okay.
yeah. I
Yeah,
forget where in Germany she is.
Yeah, she is in the north, Kiel or somewhere in
Oh.
the countryside. I wonder, Victoria, how this is all landing with you, what we are saying.
Are you sure you want to know?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
No, it's intriguing because it's well, maybe intriguing is not the right word, but I know it's the only way I can articulate this. I know God in my whole being, and it's whether I like it or not. I mean, when my husband died, I hated God so much. I would have been delighted to get rid of him completely. And the gender thing I've never been preoccupied with the gender thing. I'm preoccupied as I get older with seeing the disparities with gender issues in our society, like down in this plane. But in terms of God, I mean, I've always, since childhood anyway, there are scripture passages talking about God as a mother that I've always identified with very closely, because God has been mother and father, and everything for me because I've had a very dysfunctional family. So that doesn't tangle me up. I don't know. I can't, it's something I can't, it just is as far as I'm concerned. So it's not a matter. So it's interesting for me that when the conversation about believing this or believing that, or looking into this option or that option, or how do you define this phenomenon or that phenomenon? Because for me, this is just, it's all reality. And even the speculations might be reality too. So, yeah, when I went through my period of really, really hating God, after Conrad, my husband, died, I knew back then, I don't know where he is now, a very on fire evangelical Romanian pastor. I just knew him, happened to know him socially, and they're very much in the minority because Romania, is mostly Orthodox. So anyway, he was just one of these very dynamic people, and we were talking, and I'll never forget. He said, "You have the strongest relationship with God of anybody I've ever encountered," and I thought, well, that's just ridiculous. And I said, "Why do you say that?" And he said, "Because you can fight with God. That you're so comfortable." He said, "The intimacy is at such a level that there's no fear. It's just pure love. And if you're angry and you hate in the moment, like a child, hating the parent or something like that, that it's just the intimacy is so." Now, of course, I'm thinking in German, selbstverständlich, which I've never found a word in English that's the same. It's not self-evident, isn't good enough. It just is. It's so natural. So, yeah, I don't know if it makes life easier. It's a good question, but it doesn't. Just like the phase of when I was hating God, it didn't matter. There was no. In other words, I feel like in this conversation, what I'm hearing is like exploration and choices and beliefs. Or do I believe this? Do I subscribe to this? Will I check this out? Um, is this an interesting theory? Would it be interesting to incorporate this idea or belief into my life? And for me, it just is. It's like if you ask me, "Oh, do you like the idea of being a mother, or would you like to be a mother, or what does it mean to be a mother?" It's like the fact it's already there. So then it's a matter of just dealing with it. I don't know. That's the only way I can explain it. I saw on the airplane actually a film, biopic about Tolkien, who was a very, very, very devout Catholic his whole life, and the whole Fellowship of the Ring thing is basically a metaphor, like C.S. Lewis. And I mean, this film didn't deal with that, but it made me, seeing the film made me think about Tolkien and how interesting it is that how the world had, I'd never saw the films because I didn't, I don't know, someday maybe I'll see them, but how the world just lapped up, just embraced these films, and everyone talked about them and everyone was seeing them. It was the Harry Potter before that, but Tolkien is more profound, of course. And how interesting it is to me that how he, like C.S. Lewis, he was an apologist for his faith, and it's like people are taking the fantasy and running with that, and embracing that, and sort of like, I don't know, it's like it would be like eating meat and you don't want the protein content. Like like you just want the taste and the sensual experience. I don't know, that's a bad analogy. Anyway, I don't want to go on and on, but you asked, Heidi. So it's just intriguing for me because it's like you can't, you're born with a certain body or a certain mind or certain, like you were saying, Lorraine, that you feel like you weren't born with common sense. I wasn't either, by the way. Um, So there's certain things that just are, and then it's what do you do with them, you know? So for me, there's never been a question in my mind about God, because it would be like not believing that the sun is in the sky. It's like it's just not. It's not a matter of belief. It's just this is how it is. And anyway, I'm sorry that was a long-winded answer, but you asked, so there you
Yeah,
go.
Victoria, this is very interesting for me. And I think we could do another exploration hour, maybe another time. Also, what we use for substitute God, as you said, the films and the stories are often a substitution for what we don't want to admit, but we still have this need of, of magic, of believing that there is a power who can save us and things like that. So that would be also a good topic. But I find it very intriguing that you can say it just is, because at the end, life is just, when we're instead of doing all these things, it is. And one of my gene keys goes into being, would be the last state of development, from oh God, I've forgotten what the shadow was, but I think hunger or something. Und über adventure is then the gift, and then the last stage is being, just being. And I think it's also what Buddhist teaching is all about being. And so I think we find all these things, whatever direction you take, it comes to the same at the end.
To me, this goes also into what Lorraine said. We are all conditioned to do, and just being, yeah, that's what I found out, that being is just being is terrific. It's really great. It's really great. By the way, before we talked, you two, Lorraine and Christine, they were so delighted about your boyfriend, Victoria. You never mentioned him. I want to hear more about your boyfriend.
I don't have a boyfriend.
Yeah.
I have an amanuensis.
Okay, whoever he is, but he sounds terrific.
Well, you're welcome to meet him if sweeping up plants right now. Yeah, Christine and Lorraine seem very gung-ho. You're welcome to take him home with you next time we meet.
Oh, what an offer.
Well,
But
I,
he's
for one,
not-
am sorry I boxed him in as a boyfriend. Sorry about that.
I've always had an aversion to that word, because I don't, it to me it fits in with that the whole discourse about God. I've never been a joiner or a person that believed in definitions. I'm very apophatic in that sense, even about God. That's why it's things just are. Speaking of being, it just is what it is. So, but Alfred is, yeah, he doesn't. I don't have a definition for him. The amanuensis is the closest I can get, which most people don't. It's a word that's not in common parlance these days.
What is it? What is the word?
It's just an old Latin term that means like it's basically like your right hand man kind of thing. So like sometimes I introduce him as my secretary or my assistant, and sometimes he'll write like a email on my behalf. Well, basically I have to write it. I'm a better writer, but he does the dirty work. Of being the face and name. Right now, in fact, it's with the Austrian government, but that's another subject. Yeah, so it's well, you've all, I've talked, I think I've referred to my late husband a million times. You all know him, and it just is what it is. He's irreplaceable, and I miss him every day and every minute, every second, really. I mean, it's like half of my body's gone. Not just my body, my soul, my everything. I mean, it was one of those relationships that is miraculous. And and I think a lot of the issues with Beatrice are related to that loss too, for her. And what we came up with when he died, actually, I mean, we did tons of therapy. It was like the three of us together were a three-legged stool. And when he died, one leg was just chopped off just suddenly out of the blue, and there was no balance. And we never have found the balance, I don't think. You know, we do our best. So anyway, just to conclude, yeah, but no, I'm very grateful for Alfred. He kind of miraculously appeared in my life. And actually, apropos, if I was thinking if there were like a women and men matters opportunity. When I met him, he was just the most on fire, like out of the box fan of Richard Dawkins that you can find on the planet Earth. And he's read every single word Richard Dawkins ever wrote and listened to every interview. And now he's a very, very devout, well, like me, a Catholic with a small c. We go to daily mass. He's the one that, like, if I'm tired or don't, you know, I'm overwhelmed or something, he says, well, I want to go to mass. And so anyway, yeah, you've got to go. Oh, sorry. To be continued. Yeah. Oh, I have a meeting too. So yeah, but anyway, that's why, yeah, the word boyfriend isn't right, but to be continued. I wasn't hiding him, Monia, I wasn't hiding him like in a closet and pretending he didn't exist.
Well, Christine and I really enjoyed his company.
Oh, he loved you guys, and
Yeah,
I'm
he
just
was-
sending you an email. I've because what I heard in the conversation today about connection. We're doing something tonight you might be interested in, and also Friday. So I'll send you an email. And I wish Monia and Heidi you were here.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, I have a meeting I've got to go to. They won't speaking of therapy.
I'm sorry that
They won't let
Christine
me
is
in after.
already gone.
Thank you.
Without saying goodbye.
Thank you all.
I thank
It's so
you.
great to see you.
In 2
Yes.
weeks we meet again. Okay.
In 2 weeks?
Okay.
2 weeks.
2
Okay.
weeks. Okay, thank you.
And Frauenbrunnen is Friday, right?
Yes. Right.
Yeah. Okay. Anyway, it's wonderful to see you. I missed you this summer. So thank you and see you soon.